We use Minecraft to make, but who makes Minecraft? They do! Welcome to the Women Making Minecraft. This conversation is built by Geek Girl Con staff Kelly, coming at us from her kitchen, Anita in a bright red graphic tee and glasses, Deanna, who is currently on her Minecraft farm, Lydia in a lovely wide brim hat and white t-shirt, and Helen, who's surrounded by creepers and other Minecraft baddies. Let's find out who makes Minecraft so we can make.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Geek Girl Con. I am so excited to be here today with four incredibly inspirational women who work on Minecraft, one of the most popular video games of all time. Helen Chiang is the studio head of Minecraft, where she is responsible for growing one of the most popular video games of all time. Under Helen's leadership, Minecraft has seen record growth, selling over 200 million copies of the game and setting many franchise records, including a recent franchise high of 132 million monthly active players this summer. She led the team in extending Minecraft to new platforms, genres, geographies, and partnerships, infusing new energy into the beloved game. This year, Minecraft was also honored by being inducted into the World Video Game Hall of Fame and was selected as Polygon's Best Game of the Decade from the years of 2010 to 2019. Mojang Studios' chief storyteller, Lydia Winters, moved from Florida to Stockholm without ever having visited Europe to work on Minecraft. With no formal training in the industry, she has moved through the company fueled by her love of Minecraft and desire to build the brand with the utmost authenticity. Her current role as chief storyteller is to tell the story of Mojang Studios and Minecraft within the company and around the world. Having joined the company as the 8th employee and the first woman, her work on Minecraft has been integral to its success, and she continues to bring her enthusiasm and dedication to Minecraft for generations of players. Deanna Hearns is the general manager for Minecraft's creators vertical, where she oversees Minecraft Marketplace's content creation and sharing pipeline, as well as services like Realms. Prior to joining Mojang Studios, Deanna worked in mixed reality applications, leading the development and release for products like the Xbox Kinect and Microsoft HoloLens. Anita Sujarit is an executive producer on Minecraft Bedrock, where she is responsible for the overall player experience and leads key initiatives like game quality and holistic development improvements. Prior to joining Minecraft, Anita worked on Riot at League of Legends, at Facebook on launching new games on the Facebook gaming platform, and at Cryptic Studios and Sony Online, developing MMO games. Thank you all for being here. I'm so excited to have you.
Thanks for having us, Kelly.
Thank you. So we'll start off with just a little bit about your personal journeys to Minecraft. Since there's no actual line in the panel, maybe we'll just start off with Helen and go from there. Helen, tell us a little bit about what led you to Minecraft.
Let's see. So I started at Microsoft as an intern after grad school, and though not in gaming, and it was my second year at the company that I moved over to Team Xbox, which I've been a part of for the last 13 years in a variety of different roles. And it was 6 years ago, while I was in another role, that I helped work on Microsoft's acquisition of Mojang. And after that was formalized, I came over to be part of that initial team that worked to integrate the studio into the company. And Lydia was one of the first people that I met through that. And she's awesome. Thank you.
Awesome. Maybe Lydia next. What led you to Minecraft?
Yeah, so I actually didn't play very many video games growing up, almost none. And I started making videos after I had shaved my head for breast cancer research. And I started making videos about a game called Minecraft that some friends of mine said was like getting kind of popular, which is really funny because that was 2010. So it's just, very few people. And I started playing in alpha and I made a YouTube channel. And then I met the team at E3, which is a big gaming conference in LA. And they were like, you like to talk. Do you want to come back to Sweden and talk for us? And I was like, yeah. And so I've actually been at the company for 9 years now. So when we were independent, working with Microsoft. So it's been an amazing journey. And I just think it's the best.
Awesome, Lydia. Deanna, what brought you to Minecraft?
Well, I've always loved video games since I was little, and I worked at Xbox several years ago, and then worked on a bunch of different games. And when we started building, or when we brought over Minecraft into our fold, I've been trying to find my way over here to help build the game. And so I've talked to the team a couple of times. And it's a great thing about Microsoft is that there's lots of opportunities to go and talk to other teams and see what people are working on. And so I was really happy that this year I was able to come and help with building the creator program for Minecraft.
Awesome. And Anita, how about you?
Well, actually, like Deanna, I was into games since I was a little girl. I used to play them with my mom until really late at night, past my bedtime. And so when my kids started being of age of playing video games, I started playing with them, and Minecraft was one of them. And just being I just saw how it lit up their spirits and how it brought us together as a family, and we had really good shared moments. And I'd been working in games, and I thought, why not go help work on this game that is really impactful? And so I came in as a player, targeted Minecraft, and I'm going to get that job, work on that team. And so now 4 years later, here I am. So, but my love of Minecraft, basically.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you all. We have a number of questions, some of which have been sent in by attendees, and some of which we've picked from looking at your backgrounds that we'll be walking through today. So starting off with Helen, can you tell us a little bit about your job as the studio head for Minecraft? What does your day-to-day look like, and what do you love most about being the studio head?
One of the things that I really love about this role is that every day is so different. Every day brings a new set of challenges, whether it's product challenges, business challenges, technical challenges, people challenges, challenges with teams that we work with, or in the case of this year, how we adapt to pretty major world challenges like remote work and racial injustice in the world. And I think one of the biggest challenges of the role is that you're constantly put in a position where people are looking to you to lead and make important decisions for areas that you might not be that familiar with, and you're definitely not the expert in. And I see my role as not to be, the person that knows everything about a particular area, but to surround our team with the best people who are the smartest, people in their areas, and then create the environment where they can do their best work.
That makes sense. And so you touched a little bit on some of the challenges with the world that we're specifically in and running a company right now. Is that what's top of your mind as far as current challenges and day-to-day looks like?
Absolutely. Top of mind for me every day is, the situation that our team is in and just how we continue to use the power of Minecraft to do good in the world. In the stay-at-home environment that, a lot of the world is living in, we're seeing firsthand, what an important role games like Minecraft can play in helping people connect with their friends, connect with their family virtually when they can't physically be together. And so it's been just really inspiring to see the many ways that our players have used Minecraft to create social and community connections, celebrate important milestones like graduations or birthdays, all while physically distancing. And our team has done some incredible things like, as a response to millions of students being home from school earlier this year, we opened up access to Minecraft Education Edition for free. And then we also launched a free Minecraft education collection in the marketplace so that players all across the world could, really have access to all of the great Minecraft lessons that we use in the classroom. So many of our players have told us that Minecraft, has provided that relaxing escape from, everything that's going on in the world right now. And our focus as a studio is to really be there for our community when they need it most.
Yeah, that makes absolute sense. So Lydia, Chief Storyteller is possibly the coolest title that I've ever heard. Can you tell us a little bit about your role? What exactly is a Chief Storyteller?
Well, I used to be director of fun, so I think I've always just made up titles my whole career working on Minecraft. But basically, like I talked about earlier, of being sort of hired to talk, it's always been something that I'm super passionate about. It's like telling the story about Minecraft. So over the years, I've done many different things, and about 6 months or a year ago, we decided that like speaking about Minecraft can't be a sort of part-time job on top of my job. So now I'm really working on like helping everyone within our team understand like the heart and soul of Minecraft, and then speaking at events, which would have been a lot more fun if, I didn't start this role right when COVID started. But at some point in the future, there'll be more traveling to speak, hopefully. But it's really just, I mean, when I listen to all the stories Helen just talked about, it's like there's just an endless amount of amazing things that are happening within the Minecraft community. And being part of Minecraft is what helped me actually meet people online, and I had never done that before, and just find this safe space where people can be themselves. And I think now more than ever, like Helen was saying, all these stories are coming up even more. And so I'm kind of starting to collect them and work across our team and really help to look at guiding the whole studio in terms of what is Minecraft and why is it so special.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess speaking to both Helen and Lydia, what you talked about as far as players are sharing their stories right now online, now more than ever. I love seeing clips of players who are celebrating birthdays together, they're celebrating graduations together, they're figuring out unique ways in the world we live to tell their story of their day-to-day within one of their favorite games. And I just love that so much. So Deanna, the Creators Program at Minecraft allows talented community members to share their creations on the Minecraft Marketplace. So we see all sorts of amazing designs, from worlds to skins to textures, and even game behavior paths. Can you tell us about your experience with building a platform designed to empower the community to make and share their own creations?
Absolutely. So our marketplace partners, they are taking the core Minecraft game and really expanding on it to, to create new experiences for our players on top of, the amazing experience that you already get just with Minecraft. We have about 200 marketplace creators today. And so they're creating their content and they're selling it on the marketplace. If you go to the marketplace, you can go and find the most amazing content. You can go download a world that lets you go fly dragons around the Minecraft universe. You can go on a pirate adventure. And so our creators are really building on top of the work that we're doing and enabling just a huge diverse set of new type of content and game experiences for our players. And we really, really love that. And so my team is focused on making it as easy as possible for those creators to build these experiences and to build even new types of experiences that they can't today. Making it easier for them to create the content and iterate on it and make it really high quality for our players. And so, for example, over the last year, we've been making a big investment in making blocks data driven so that creators really have a lot more control when they're making a map. And then, simply by adding the ability for a creator to add an entity into the game, we've seen just a huge influx of these wonderful new Minecraft creatures and worlds being created around those creatures. And so this is the type of thing that we'll continue to invest in. And then we're also going to focus on partnering with our community. We have such a great, enthusiastic and dedicated community of creators. And I think that's been one thing about Minecraft that's been true from the very beginning, is that, we've really leveraged our community, and we'll continue to do that and build a set of tools that anyone really could use, because our end goal really is to help anybody, be successful, anyone be someone who can actually go out and make their own games. And so we want to make it easy for everyday people, everyday Minecraft players to get up and running and to get started making content, and to go, and if they want to, pursue the path of being a marketplace creator. in fact, many of our marketplace creators really started as just, passionate Minecraft players and started creating their own content. And now they're running their own business and they're making, a living from making Minecraft content, which is pretty cool.
I feel like we've heard of 3 really incredible job titles already today. She's storyteller, director of fun, and a professional Minecraft creator. So cool. Anita, so you have an incredibly diverse industry background spanning many different games and studios. We touched a little bit on some of them as part of your intro, but to get more into the specifics, so while you were at Sony, you were working on Vanguard, Saga of Heroes, and at Cryptic Studios, you were working on MMOs, or the engine that powered MMOs like Star Trek Online. And at Riot, of course, you were working on League of Legends, leading the organization for personalization and content creation and distribution. So can you tell us a little bit about what you've learned while working at so many different diverse gaming companies and how you've applied that to your current role as executive producer for Minecraft Bedrock?
Sure. Well, certainly working at all the different companies on all the different games has given me the opportunities to see what works well and what doesn't work so well. It's like, oh, yeah, don't want to do that one again, but I learned this and this, right? So it gave me a lot of opportunities to try a lot of different things and, make a lot of mistakes, which is okay. And there's also the hard skills, right, that I picked up, like all the different software methodologies, learning that, one size doesn't fit all. I would come into a company and say, it's got to be this way. And like, oh, that's not how we work. I don't think that will work for us. And so kind of adjusting that too. And how important it is, just working on the engines before, of how important it is to start with a really good architecture. And that solves so many problems up front, right? And then there are the soft skills from all the different companies, has a lot of different cultures. And so I picked up some diverse learnings from that too, that stem from those different cultures. Without actually naming those specific companies, at one place I learned how to take risks, be bold by asking yourself, what would you do if you weren't afraid? And this helps guide what kinds of things that we might want to go after, the scale of what we go after, and how quickly we go after it. From another company, I learned that being player focused is really the key to making great games. And so at every decision, day to day, I look at what is, is that good for the player? Can we wait until X number of months before we get this fix out to the player, or is that going to resonate with the hearts and minds of players? And on Minecraft, I push us to think about the player every day. And then lastly, earlier on in my career, I saw how pure passion from a team of people who are just entering the industry could actually push a failing game across the finish line, despite everything that could have went wrong, actually went wrong. And so that makes me think about today, like how important it is to take care of people, because if you have a really motivated group of people, really amazing things can come from them. So, but there's a lot more, but those are the big ones I can think of.
Yeah. Way back in the day, I used to work in aerospace, and in aerospace, failure was definitely an option, and you never wanted to fail because it meant the plane would fall out of the sky, right? And that often led to a lot of care being given to making sure that there was no risk of failure. You were never really pushing the boundary maybe as much as you would be able to while working in software or at a gaming studio. And I feel like Minecraft has continued to push the boundaries year after year after year after year. And so I love so much when you say to think about if you weren't afraid, right? Because I feel like being in that mindset enables that kind of innovation that we've seen year after year from Minecraft. Mm-hmm. So Helen, what is top of mind right now for you in Minecraft and maybe the gaming industry as a whole?
It's a little bit of what I talked about earlier in terms of, how can we best support our community during these challenging times? I think with Minecraft, very similar to what you touched on is we're growing pretty rapidly and there's a lot of opportunity ahead of us. And so just thinking about, what are the bets that we want to start to place now? And, those bets take time to show up, over the next couple of years. And so what are the things that we can start seeding now to bring out to the community in 2 years and 3 years that are going to get them excited. And I love what Anita talked about is, really thinking in the frame of what our players want and taking that feedback. And so that's really what continues.
When you're thinking about the next couple years, is there anything that you're allowed to share with us that you're excited about yet? Or is that all under locks and we'll hear about it soon?
All I can say is that, we have a lot of really exciting things under development that I think the community's going to be excited about.
Awesome. Thank you, Helen. So Lydia, you mentioned that you joined Minecraft very, very early on, back in the early days. So I believe it was 2011, if I remember my research correctly. Mm-hmm. So can you tell us a little bit about how Mojang Studios has evolved during your time working there from 2011 all the way to 2020?
Yeah, it's as different as it could be. And I mean that in a really good way. I mean, I started on the team as the 8th employee. I was the first woman, the first person moving to work on the team that wasn't a Swedish guy. And so it was just like very, very different. We were a really small, passionate team working on something that honestly we were all kind of like, we hit our peak. Like I remember celebrating 5 million sales and we were like, we did it. What are we gonna do next? And the thing I love about Minecraft and working at Mojang Studios is that there's just so much potential. So for me in my career, I've just like, what can I learn how to do? I don't know how to do that. I don't know. I wasn't in this space or, nothing like Anita with like this amazing wealth of experience and knowledge in gaming. And I love that at Mojang Studios, you can be passionate and excited about things and kind of be like, hey, I can start up this project and work on it. I think the acquisition brought like such an amazing amount of not only attention to Minecraft in terms of like being able to build the team and grow from like 30 people to way more than that now, but it also brought something that I obviously feel very excited about, which is tons of women to the team, both within the Stockholm studio, like when suddenly you have really amazing women working on the team, and like Helen mentioned, and I feel the same way about her. It's like all of a sudden I'm like, wow, there's all these amazing women that are mentors, and there were very few of us working at the office when we were acquired, and so that just brought so much to me personally and so much to the company and to Minecraft. It's just more ideas and more people with different viewpoints and people coming in from within the industry and also outside of the industry, because then you can really create just more amazing things with more awesome people. And so it's completely different. And when I was hired, our former CEO, Carl, he said like every year keeps getting crazier and crazier. And that was like in 2011. So it had only been 1 year. So I don't know how many years kept being crazy, but I feel that is completely true of my journey at Mojang Studios. Every year is better and different, and there's new things and new places we can take this amazing game while also taking care to protect it and make sure our community is happy. So yeah.
Yeah. I used to play a lot of League of Legends, and when I played League of Legends, I exclusively played female characters because I liked seeing people that looked like me in the game, right? And so I remember when Alex came out, and I was so excited because I mean nothing against Steve, right? But I just resonated more with Alex. Like I just clicked with her more, and I feel like having such a great and inclusive character design is symptomatic of having a great and inclusive company, right? Without that, sometimes, little things like, well, it's all right. It's Steve, right? He's the icon. Might get glossed over a little bit more. So.
Yeah, I'm very proud of Alex personally, so I love hearing that because I'm the one that pushed to have Alex in the game, and she has green eyes because I have green eyes, and she has red hair because Jeb has red hair. So we tried to just like we were all in a room like, what about this and what about this? But it's my best contribution to the actual in the game something. So that makes me really happy. I also love that everyone can now, create their own skins, and even before. And I think we're looking at new ways to make sure that everyone feels represented, because when we talked about Steve early on, all of the guys said, yeah, but Steve is androgynous. And I was like, he kind of has a goatee. I don't know. Like, I'm not sure that that's the character I want to play as. So I think we want all of our players to be able to represent themselves, which I think leads into a lot of the cool work that Deanna is doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of which, so this is for Deanna and Anita both. So Deanna, in addition to leading the creator program, you're also leading Minecraft Bedrock services, which includes Realms, it includes our marketplace, and a bunch of other in-house services. There's many challenges with running services, I'm sure, for a game as worldwide as Minecraft is. Maybe lag, for example, or maybe geodistribution. And I'd love to hear a little bit about that in a moment. And then likewise, Anita, you mentioned that one of your major initiatives right now is game quality. So making sure that Minecraft is stable and our test team is able to catch issues before they hit players. For as many platforms as Minecraft ships on, I'm sure that that presents a lot of very unique challenges as far as making sure that our test team is able to catch things just off of sheer number of operating systems and platforms that you could have all at once. So can you both speak a little bit to some of the challenges that you faced while working on a game as large and as widespread as Minecraft is?
Anita, do you want to go first?
Sure. All right. So, well, from the technical side, so Kelly, you mentioned all the different platforms and all the different things they require a lot of different things in certification too. There's all these rules. The platforms themselves have limits where like the size of the client might have to be X big or can't transmit certain amount of data at a certain rate that's allowable for their platform. And then there's also just the hardware range of capabilities from, like, for example, Android has low end all the way to high end. And of course, we want to support as many players as we can, right? So that we can bring Minecraft to all over the world. But it's really challenging to write a game that's flexible enough to work on like low end devices to high end devices, but then also balance that need to write something customizable because that's what fits the platform versus something that is more generic so that we can maintain it. And it's easier on our teams too for both like developing and testing. And then there's the design side where there's a lot of interfaces and inputs that that we need to think about with controller, VR, touch, keyboard and mouse, and that can be really challenging too. With this particular way you build the scaffold works for controller, but that's so hard to navigate on touch. How do you design an experience that works well for everybody? And small screens. Something that you might want really visible on a small screen, like signaling the end of a raid. But then you don't want it to be generic because then it'll be gigantic on a huge TV screen, right? Then if you look beyond just the mechanics too, all the different platforms have different player bases with different play styles, and so it's like whenever I'm making decisions on some of those things, it's looking beyond the device and seeing the person, the player, and to recognize that they have different like hearts and minds basically on all the platforms, and supporting them. And you mentioned testing. Testing is probably our most challenging place, where on a game that's as big as Minecraft and the scale that we are with all the different players, it's nearly impossible to test everything ourselves. So we rely pretty heavily on our beta audience and continue to invest in things like automation and building out our capabilities to do things where we don't always have to rely on human testing too. So those are some of the things that we do with expansion of our beta and automation.
Yeah.
So I would add,
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Kelly.
I was just going to say, you mentioned earlier that architecture is often at the heart and soul of any good game, right? Engine architecture, and I imagine that as you're talking about having to handle inputs coming from a virtual reality device all the way to something from your typical keyboard and controller setup, it has to be really, really difficult to adapt.
Yeah, absolutely.
So Deanna.
Yeah, so I think, I think Anita talked already about just the complexity of the different platforms that we have, that we support. I mean, it's pretty amazing that you can play the game, across PlayStation, Switch, Google devices, Android devices, iOS devices, Kindle, Windows, Xbox. It's a pretty unique situation, and that adds a bunch of complexity around how we integrate our marketplace and realm services across all of those platforms. So each one has certain differences, and so we basically have some amount of custom code that's required in order to make sure that we are operating the sort of commerce function of our marketplace in the right way for each of those platforms. So that adds to testing complexity, the amount of sort of sustainment that is required over time, because inevitably there's bugs, and we have to make sure that our team is we allocate our team resources in a way that makes sure that we have people who are dedicated to just maintain the systems that are in market. Because it's not okay to have the marketplace go down, or to have your realm service not available when you want to go and play with your friends. And so that's been something that it just adds complexity. And there's also every piece of content that our creators create, we test all of it. So we do a bunch of content review to make sure that the content's appropriate, because we have a lot of younger people who play the game, and so we want to make sure that we always have appropriate content and there's nothing offensive. But we also test that content to make sure that it performs well. So we're testing it across all of those platforms. So that's definitely some additional complexity that we have to deal with. And then, there's just when you're running services and you have such a huge audience like we do with Minecraft, you have to make sure that you really are building from a strong technology foundation that will scale, so that, you have really good reliability and performance. And I think that's the case with every really good service, but we definitely have a really big audience.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's such a unique challenge for Minecraft. I feel like most games tend to be very highly localized, right, to a particular region or a particular segment of the population. But Minecraft, I mean, everybody plays, right? So talk about challenge as far as scaling and geo-distribution and geo-resiliency.
I think that's something that our players were the most nervous about with the acquisition, and I just love that Minecraft is on more platforms than ever, and we keep adding and expanding, and I'm very impressed by the complexity that it needs to be navigated, but it's something really cool, and I think it shows sort of all of us working on Minecraft and thinking differently, which is really nice.
So Lydia, you were a founder of the Block by Block program. For any listeners who might not be familiar with it already, Block by Block works with the United Nations Human Settlements Program to raise funds for improving public spaces worldwide, specifically with a focus on impoverished communities in developing countries. So Lydia, can you tell us a little bit about Block by Block and your role in actually being a co-founder?
Yeah, Block by Block is really amazing because it is using Minecraft to really give people a say in a process that they normally wouldn't have. So like in a nutshell, basically when an area is being built, like a playground or a park, many times the people who live in the area aren't actually consulted about how things should feel and be. And what we've done is partnered with UN Habitat, and they actually use Minecraft to bring in participants and also a lot of youth who are not normally participants into workshops where they actually build in Minecraft and show what they want the area to look like. And then they're able to present that in front of city council and governments and non-government agencies, and actually have that area built in a way that the people actually want it to be. And so it brings communities together. It helps them have a public space that they can use. And it's just a really amazing thing to see. I've been in workshops around the world watching like very young, like a 14-year-old get up and like present their idea for a space. And it's so empowering. And then later to actually see people using the area, coming together, gathering, getting to, be in a place that they helped design is really amazing. And Minecraft is just so easy to use that we've had like 65-year-old fishermen in Haiti who haven't used a computer before, typing away and moving things around, to like, 12-year-old in Kosovo. And so it's just something, again, Minecraft lends itself to being so useful in so many situations. And when you have, in this case, this started from, a kid kind of suggesting to his dad in building, like, you could use Minecraft to visualize that. And so it's like our community is always sort of taking what they love and adding it to Minecraft, and like these amazing results happen. So Block by Block is something I'm really proud of, seeing just the use of Minecraft in making such a tangible difference. It's really amazing.
And we'll include a link to Block by Block in the video for any audience members who want to learn a little bit more about the mission there. So on to some advice questions about your careers and your journeys to Minecraft. So this one's for Helen specifically. So Helen, after graduating from your college at Johns Hopkins, within 10 years, you were the Director for Business Strategy for Xbox Live. From there, you moved on to manage Mojang's business strategy before eventually becoming the studio head within a few years. That is such an incredible trajectory, and many would say that your career growth has been truly exponential. So tell us about what it looked like for you as an early and career professional, and maybe if you have any advice for our collegiate or young professional listeners on working towards roles in leadership.
I think I probably speak for a lot of women. It's kind of weird to hear your career kind of played back for you. So, I think one of my biggest pieces of advice is not to have a rigid view of what your career journey should look like. And so when I think about my early in career moments, I always thought there was this linear path, and this kind of like almost like there should be a blueprint of how you get promoted and how you get into some of these leadership roles. And I think what you see from the amazing women on this panel is there isn't this kind of golden path to leadership, and instead there's many, many different paths. And I think hearing all of the different stories is there are very different paths from the people that you see on the call today. And in my opinion, the best path is one that's kind of not so much focused on titles and levels and the speed of moving through these things, but more focused on what you're learning and what you're getting out of each of those experiences, so that you continue to grow, personally, and that you're gaining the skills and the experience to have a wider and bigger impact with everything that you take on. My second piece of advice is linked to something that Anita said earlier about what would you do if you weren't afraid. And I always encourage people to take the opportunities that push you out of your comfort zone. Those are the opportunities that are really going to help you grow the most. And when I started in the job I am in today, I was extremely terrified. And I think people that were here, like Lydia, know about how terrified I was. It was something that my manager and I had talked about as a 3-year plan that suddenly became a right now plan when he took a new job. And I was suddenly put in this highly visible role that I frankly hadn't done before. And it was the most uncomfortable I've ever been in my entire career. And one of the things that I'm most proud about is, there's a lot of tough moments in there. There's a ton of things that I had to go learn. I'm still learning every day, but that I didn't give up. And I think it's that part, it would have been very easy to give up at many points in time. And I think that thing that you learn about yourself is so much more powerful. And that's what I would encourage people to do, is continue to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Take the roles that serve, because those are the ones that are going to push you to grow.
Thank you, Helen. And certainly expanding it. Of course, everyone here has such an incredibly diverse trajectory to coming to work in gaming. What advice would you give yourself when you were just starting off, looking back on getting to where you are today?
I don't think I could give myself any advice. But I think like Helen, it's kind of the same thing about like taking chances and saying yes. I mean, my whole career has been based on saying like, I can do that. Googles how to do it, looks up, asks someone, tries to figure it out, learns, fails, tries it again. Anything that anyone has asked me to do at Mojang Studios, I've said like, okay, let me see if I can learn how to do that. And I think that's the best advice, because if you pair that with not being rigid about your expectations of where you should end up, then, I mean, for me, it's like things went all over and I never would have expected to be here, but I can't imagine not being here.
Yeah. I think I would add two things to that. One thing I've learned is that not to be afraid to ask for what you want, what you're interested in, because often people really do want to help you get to where you want to go. And some of the biggest opportunities I've been given have been because I told somebody, listen, I think I'm interested in that kind of a role. If you ever need some help with that, let me know. And then it ended up, working out in that way. And so, I mean, even when people come to me and they tell me either from my team or another team, they tell me they're interested in pursuing an opportunity or learning more about something, I want to help them. I think that that's kind of how we all feel, like we want to help each other and support each other and build each other up. And so don't hesitate to reach out and ask for help or make it really clear what you want. And then the second thing is not to wait, like don't wait to have permission to lead. There are often times and opportunities to step in and show leadership and, express your voice or pick up some reins that were dropped and, move things forward. And in the past, there have been times when I've felt like, gosh, is it okay for me to do this? Like, am I going to step on someone's toes, or do I need to go ask for permission to take on this, this work that's been dropped? And by doing that, by, seeing a need and picking that up and leading something and, just being the leader, people will see you in that role. And it's, it will just, you'll have the opportunity to show your capabilities as a leader. One time I was on a team where the lead PM left the group suddenly. And, there were 5 of us PMs on the team, and the GPM was hiring for the role. And so, but in the meantime, nobody had kind of stepped in to pick up the work and the responsibilities that lead PM had been doing. And so I just started doing them. And then everyone was like, oh, this is working great. Let's just make Deanna the lead PM. And so that's how I went from being a feature level PM to a lead PM leading the product work. So just look for those opportunities where there may be a vacuum of leadership, and don't wait for permission to start leading.
I think the only thing I agree with everything that Helen, Lydia, and Deanna said, but I think the only thing that I would add from my perspective is invest in relationships and the people around you. Be kind, because I think when I look back at my career, all the moves that I've made had to deal with the ripple effects of something that someone had done for me, or I've done for them, or our relationship or friendship that had come out of these working experiences. So doors will open as you're kind and investing in relationships with people. The industry is very small, and eventually, as people move around, you end up knowing everybody, or a connection or two away.
That's so important what you said, Anita. I always tell my kids, treat other people how you want to be treated. And what I generally tell people that I mentor, treat everybody at work as if you would work for them one day. Because like you said, it is such a small industry and things change so fast, and making sure that you invest in it, I think that's
Yeah. And speaking of the industry, do you have any advice, everyone here, on paths or maybe areas of focus or degrees that can lead to potential careers in gaming?
Well, engineering is a big one if you're interested in it. That was my path. Started off as an engineer, and I was an engineer in not games, basically. So working in biotech and internet technology and things like that. And then my very first game company, I interviewed, and I didn't think they would hire me because the requirement list was so long with 8 million ship titles or something. And they did. They took a chance and hired me because I had the engineering skills that would transfer to what they needed, and that just kind of went from there. But so I think that one worked out really well for me and what I've seen for others too.
I think one of the great things about where the industry has evolved to is we now have people joining gaming, joining our studio that come from a much wider set of experiences and backgrounds than I think what I would have seen maybe 10 years ago. It used to be that you either had to have gaming experience on your resume to even get considered, or to know somebody who could get you that interview. And more these days, like Anita said, we have people coming through the traditional engineering backgrounds with computer science, things like that. But I also see people coming in with degrees in history, in theater, in women's studies, in art history. And I think that has made it a much more inclusive place with just a wider variety of perspectives that has made it really interesting.
Yeah, I have a liberal arts degree. I focused on philosophy and fine arts, and so I definitely have a non-traditional background. And when I was in school, the game industry wasn't really, I mean, there were video games that people were playing, but it wasn't as established. It was still pretty new. And so there weren't any formal courses of study, but there are colleges out there that do focus on game design and engineering and game content production. And so if you're really passionate about those things, they do exist. But for me, the way that I actually got in, because like Helen said, it was really hard to break into the game industry if you don't have that experience. And so I applied for roles and was told I didn't have enough experience. And so I did things like just made sure I was really diving deep into the industry and like really understanding what was going on in the industry, playing a ton of games to get some kind of, game development experience under my belt. I went and started modding Dungeon Siege at the time, and just to be able to show that I was really invested and passionate. And then, like Anita said, really, if you bring a strong player focus and passion when you're talking to employers, and I think that's just so critical. And it's probably more important to have that and have that player empathy than having the skills that you would learn with a formal degree.
Yeah, like Deanna, I have a completely different degree. So I have a teaching degree and hadn't been involved in video games at all. I think the great part is exactly what Helen said. The industry has changed in such an insane way in the past 9 years that I've been part of it, where we have people within Mojang Studios who, they know about Minecraft, they're excited about Minecraft, but they don't know everything about gaming in general. And bringing in all of these different ideas and opinions and ways of thinking, it just becomes really, really exciting. And it helps just make a very dynamic workplace versus how it felt, 9 years ago, when it's kind of everyone in a very homogenous group and everyone thinks very similarly. So I think it's brought so much to Minecraft. And I also think the other great thing to remember is that video game companies need every role. So like within our company, there's engineers, there's designers, there's artists, there's finance people. So if you have a passion for video games plus something else, like I was talking about earlier, then you can add those two things together and come work at Mojang Studios on Minecraft, or at some other amazing game studio, and you can apply the knowledge that you have and put it with video games. And I think then you can really get some special things.
Yeah. And on the subject of inclusivity, So women and non-binary persons have not always been super well represented in games. I mentioned that I mostly played characters that looked like me when I was young, and that certainly hasn't always been the case, that we have options to do that, right? So what is Minecraft doing to help change the status quo?
I think to start, we're working really hard to build a team that represents the diverse community that plays our game. You know, I really believe that you can't be what you see, and so I want women and non-binary persons to be able to see themselves when they look at the leadership team of our studio, when they see the richness of our player community. And one of the things I'm extremely proud of is that our leadership team is about 50% female, which is pretty much unheard of, you know, in games. And then another thing that we're doing is we're investing in, you know, education and training for our team so that we can all better understand what the lived experience of employees from some of these underrepresented groups really feels like in our industry, so that we can all learn new skills about how do we support those employees, and also how do we be a great ally.
I like all the different employee groups that we have too, that help foster a sense of inclusivity, a safe space, to have a community to connect with others. So I think that's been really good in feeding into, you know, building the right team, or the team that looks like our players.
Yeah.
There's also other things that we're planning in the game itself that probably don't want to share too much about, but there's definitely things that are coming that where people would be able to better reflect and see themselves and identify with. So,
yeah.
I also think it's important that our creator community is also diverse and has broad representation, because then the content that they're creating will, you know, better reflect the experience of our players, and it will just, you know, offer a lot more breadth. And so we are being intentional about how we go and grow our creator community, so that we are making sure to figure out how, you know, how best to connect those potential creators out there with our tools and our platform.
Absolutely.
I completely agree.
So the very last question that I have for you all today, so looking forward over the next few years, either within Minecraft or thinking about the broader industry, what are you the most excited about?
I'm excited to see all the different types of games that are coming from, like, that are very more diverse, like you know, 10, 20 years ago, it's like the games were very, it might have been targeted to a 19-year-old male or something. And now we get, you know, lots of different types of games, from I don't know, like food games, or Untitled Duck games, or Goose games, or Animal Crossing that's like become a big hit too. So I just love seeing all the diverse types of games that are coming out.
That's what I'm excited about too. For within Minecraft, I'm really excited to see all the new types of experiences that our creators are going to be able to create, especially as we, you know, continue to diversify the creator base. And it's just going to be really fun to see how that evolves over the next few years.
Yeah, within Minecraft, there's too many good things and none that I can talk about, but very exciting few years coming up. And I think, like Anita mentioned, like, I'm a huge Animal Crossing player. I love that right now, and even more so than ever when people are home playing games, like, what it means to be a gamer is just like everyone is playing a game. And I love that feeling, because I remember how I felt at the beginning. I felt such an outsider, like, as a woman and as a non-gamer. And over time, it's like, but I do play games. And even if it's one game, you're playing it. And so I just love that the industry has expanded to a place that there's diverse games, because they know that people will play them, and all different types of people are gaming.
I'm really hopeful, and I'm looking forward to the day where women and non-binary persons have equal representation in the industry, and there's no longer this wide disparity in gender representation, especially at the leadership level. And so, I'm kind of crossing my fingers that day comes before my 2 girls join the workforce. And I love the role that, Minecraft, Microsoft, and that everybody on this call, that we're all playing to break down those gender stereotypes and to push for gender equality.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you, Helen, Anita, Lydia, Deanna. Sincerely appreciate your time today, and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.